All right, cool. So we're on YouTube streaming this morning as we get ready for these markets. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. September 27th, right? The main data report that everyone was waiting for this week was surrounding Jerome Powell and the Fed, along with what we saw this morning in terms of the PCE data. The PCE is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge. So that came out pretty much like as expected, which put in some bullish pressure into this market, pre-market here off the open, or sorry, not off the open, but before the open. And what we're seeing overall is the continued upside momentum. Last night, right into the market close, I was talking about two levels to buy on into that like 260 or like 320 on the Nasdaq, as well as that like 94 area, 95, 96 on the S&P. I didn't hold these out until this news, right? Before the news, I just cut these, but maybe wouldn't have hurt to let a few runners go. But the PC data, right? We're back to the understanding that good news is good news and bad news can be really bad news. So they're still holding inflation, or I guess whatever their version of inflation is, at bay for now. Things are looking better on that front for the Federal Reserve, if you will. So that's pretty much what's helping them cut these rates, right? Continue looking for this lower rate environment and continuously kind of holding true to looking for rate cuts on the Fed meetings. So that's an interesting factor, right? So if we get one of those inflation readings in the following months that's hotter than expected, well, we can expect a decent drop from that in this cycle. So let's take a look at what we got in terms of the plan for today in terms of this market. It's still holding out bullish, right? We are holding above key distribution areas. Yesterday, we were trading into all-time highs, so I didn't like the idea of trading too much of the S&P. Nasdaq looked a bit better in terms of the areas and the regions that were being traded. So I think there was a little more opportunity in that. S&P, both of them started off with a strong offer and a stronger sell in the morning session, right? We saw a pretty decent decline and prices continued that wave pretty much throughout the remainder of the day until about the close when the buy side came in. That looked pretty nice. So what I was looking for is you can see the current large auction that we're trading here on NASDAQ overall, right? Like you have this kind of midpoint area over here that's kind of creating the top band of the new volume. But I'm also using this 80, like low 80 area, right? I'm still using this like 82 area as like the major distribution top that I'm watching out. And then you have this other minor area around 98 right now. So I was looking at the volume drop off from yesterday's session, thinking that the overnight, as long as we can hold that, we can see if we can make that move above that 5,800. And to yesterday's session, what we were talking about was like heavy volume. If you start dropping under that heavy volume, you have very limited volume to try to support these prices, which we failed ultimately, and the downside opened up. So right now, honestly, as long as we're like holding these areas with some kind of minor resistance around that 5820, I still like the upside, right? To see if we can actually sustain some of these regions above that 5,800 to try holding out this bull. The sellers would be keen on holding under 5820 realistically, but above these auctions, above these distributions like this, I don't find myself in a good position realistically to sell, right? Every sell above this, I find a fade overall, right? Which is a lower probability based on what I've done before, right? I don't, without too much information, if you're not trading into a distribution high, right? A lot of these things stacking up, it's more so a lower probability trade in my experience. If we take a look at the NASDAQ doing a lot better in terms of clarity, in my opinion, in terms of where these auctions are. So on the overnight, it was the same type of scenario where I was looking if we can hold like the 320 area, right? This is the top band of this auction, great. Like I think some buy side can try to come in on this, but also you have this like volume probe over here around that 260. That was interesting to see if we can try to hold, and above that 320, we're going to be targeting the 390, which is exactly where we're trading right now. So there's a little more inherent bullishness on NASDAQ. If we start ripping above the 390, right, that's great. We start accepting into the distribution where we can trade the highs into 520, for example. Otherwise, like I'm still watching to see if we can find maybe some pullbacks today into that 320 to hold and continue this wave. Like pre-market right now, it's pretty bullish. Every offer is getting rebid pretty consistently on both of these. So every seller that comes in gets a little jammed. Now, after this pop up again, right, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised to see some kind of downside to get better buyers, to get some profit taking out of this market, to find stronger longs at lower prices, more favorable prices, if you will. So that's something that I'll be looking for, right? It's not like one of those days where it opens up and I just start buying every freaking dip or everything that I see, right? Just because I'm looking for the bull side momentum to continue. It's going to be based on the auctions that we have. So that's the plan for the equities this morning. What we'll do is we'll put Boxy on here and then we'll take a look at what is going on. Or he might not even be here. He um might come in a little later or might have gotten some hurricane damage. I think it's tough over there in Florida specifically, right? With that big hurricane. So hope anyone in Florida is doing well. But I think it's moving up towards where Boxy is in Atlanta somewhere, right? So it might just be me today. You just hear me talking to myself. So let's see if anyone shows up, and I'll think of maybe some other information that might be useful going into this open, right? We started pretty early here, actually. So pretty much broken everything down that I'm looking at right now. Looking for the buy side to continue if we get pullbacks or if we just start bidding realistically. I would like to see a morning pullback to get better buyers at better prices, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for. You're trading very small size. It's Friday. Had a solid overnight based on what I posted, and honestly, pretty solid week. Don't really want to nuke that. Friday shouldn't be the make or break day of the week for your trading. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. Buy side still strong. But I'd like it at lower prices. If you have any questions setting up this morning, so we do have some time here until this market opens. Why don't I go over the plan in like 10 minutes or so again, so I don't just like constantly repeat it for people that like trickle in. But I am leaning bullish at lower prices. like you get this PC data that comes out, right? Pretty much in line with expectation with some beats. So bullish start to the day. Question here. Would you say you rely more on your win rate or larger winners to be profitable? Larger winners for sure. Like in August, I had a 45% win rate. I know some traders with a 35% win rate that have like 10x winners versus their losers that just completely make up for the like a profitability rate. Like obviously there is importance to it. I would just say like if you're aiming for like 80% plus, you have very unrealistic expectations of what goes on in this market. Like I feel like good traders have like 50 to 60. And good traders could also have 30 to 40, but like massive monster winners. Like I feel like if you're scalping, like I don't scalp, but like if you scalp, you probably have to have a higher win rate. Let's be honest. If you get like stopped out a lot looking for these larger winners, like maybe just like the direction or the areas that you're entering are probably not that ideal. Like, it also depends on like what kind of stops you're using too. Like if you're using like super tight stops, then like if I'm using like a 1 point stop and expecting to get like 10 points out of the spoos, I'm just like living in a fantasy land. Hmm. Balance between getting confirmation, missing the move. Interesting. Yeah, I think that that's always like the entry, the execution is probably always going to be the hardest part, realistically. Like overall, um, like I would like the way I see it is like I'd personally rather miss the move than get like an aggressive entry and like chase prices. Like when you have like one touch bounces, honestly, like fuck them, like unrealistic expectations there. Unless I'm just like putting it out there, or like I wait for the exact reaction on the dom and I just like click right away, most likely not getting it. It's hard to find a scalp from a bigger trade sometimes, if you know what I mean. Well, like listen, a scalp I define as like a 1 to 1, something like that. So like I honestly never take profits on 1 to 1s. Like that's just not what I do. So if I define it that way, then like that's one way, but I don't know. I don't think there's like a clean definition of what a scalp is. It's not gonna be like, okay, 1 point, 2 points, 3 ticks, like all that bullshit. My pivot, my pivot. No, I don't know. I'm still. I'd like to look for longs above like 5,800, 98 on the spoos and like 320 on the NAS. Oh shit, where's Baba located, Kyle? Is he in Florida or somewhere that's getting attacked by the storm? Yeah, I think Boxy's getting attacked by a storm as well. So I feel like it's just gonna be me. Fatty's in Vegas drinking and gambling like a real trader. Over here trading Fridays like a loser. South Carolina. My geography in the US isn't that great, so I'm not gonna pretend I know where that is. I know Texas, Florida, LA, and New York. Everything in between. Oh, the US is big and there's so many freaking states. Pretty aggressive sell pre-market at 379 on Nas trying to come in. Between Florida and New York. Okay, perfect. I got a general understanding. Anyways, might as well just go over this plan again here for anyone that was coming into this a little later. Like on the spoos, we have this like larger auction area, this larger balance that we're above right now. So inherently looking for some bull pressure if we like we're about to open above that area realistically. So like you got this like top band over here, 96, 5,800. You got this like prior top band at like the low 80, which is interesting to me. I like that as well. So if we're like above both these areas, honestly, I do lean a little more bullish. There's a spot at this like 5820 that maybe some people try to sell into, but it's a lower probability in my opinion. I'm just like looking for the continuation of this balance, or if it fails. So I gotta wait a bit. Nasdaq looking a little more spicy in terms of holding bull side in terms of the auctions that we're trading, like 320 above 320 should be good, above 390 should be good. So I'm gonna lean on that, but like I do expect like maybe a little pullback off this open. Um, See if they can get better prices after that like lower volume pop on that news. Watching the flow, there's a lot of congestion on Nasdaq at these highs around the 390 and like 380, and then like there's a bunch at like 350 as well. So it's kind of pinned right now. S&P a lot of positive delta around that 5805. So we see how this open. It's coming up. 5 minutes now. Do. This is like this pre-market, like 5-10 minutes before it opens, feels like the longest time ever. What is the stream looking for today? What are your plans? Maybe there's some kind of differentiation. In short, my plan. Jeez, come on, time people. I want to just keep repeating myself. God, I'm gonna forget what I said. No, my plan is generally looking for an earlier sell off the open to like find buyers at lower prices, or if we just start ripping, that's fine too. And then I can look at buyers at higher prices, but looking long for now, as long as we're above these auctions. This has to be the longest 5 minutes I've ever endured in my life. Put my timer up too. Buy the dip, sell the rip. Yeah, exactly. That's the plan every day. If you know, you know. Maybe there must be a way to just like auto set this timer. I'm trading the NAS and the ES futures today, just like every day. That's all I do. Now I'll swing some like options here and there. Otherwise, on a day-to-day basis, futures delta one is what I like to do. Here's the open. I'll start this timer. We'll see how these guys trade off the open. A lot of volume coming in, some sell side trying to come through. NASDAQ back into the congestion territory, into this five, or what am I talking about? 350. Offer is trying to hold pretty solid right now. Better on the NASDAQ on the sell than on the S&P here, though. S&P buyers just all they know is buy, 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 buy. Nasdaq still has some room into that 320. Rotation, rotation, rotation. I have my timer on so I can just wait the first 10 minutes, see how this thing transpires on the day. A lot of selling trying to come in into these lows at 350 on NAS. Not really going anywhere. Delta one means literally one delta, like meaning that the price goes up $1 or a point, you know exactly what it is. Like options are different deltas. This is like a baby little pullback where these like buyers are still trying to attack prices. Like a lot of people are getting jammed on the NAS into the lows, like S&P as well. Like if this is the only pullback and it just starts ripping from here, it's pretty bullish Dom to start the day. Like all sellers are getting bid back up. For now. like to see what happens into that 320 on the NAS. You can never fucking trade there. A lot of people, they keep trying to sell these 330s on NAS right now. Let's see. Big sellers are trying to come into this. I still got about 3 minutes to just like see what's going on. So we're coming into like NAS, one of the important areas for me. Like there's a lot of selling on this, but like the continuation, the fluidity of this sell is like not super impressive, I would say. Like if we start breaking 310, 320, like on NAS, that's going to be tough for the bears. But this is the area where I'd like to see those buyers come in, right? We were looking for that early morning weakness. So we got the 320. S&P just in a fucking fantasy land of its own. Oh, there's some questions here, sir. I missed these just staring at nothing. I'm really thinking about waiting until 10:30 or later. I've been getting hammered. Yeah, honestly, like Justin, once you get that like IB shape up, the IB high and low, you get more of an understanding of like what kind of more directionality looks like, and like how the strength in the morning or weakness in the morning shapes up. Like you look at yesterday's like IB low on the S&P, we retest it, right? Very nice. Break under, close under, hold it, continuation lower. Nice. Getting more confident in it. Let's see some other questions here. Studying crypto and someone told me futures will be better. I know crypto terms, but no futures knowledge then. Fair enough. Yeah. Futures, like it's not that complicated in terms of like terminology and knowledge and like what's going on realistically. It's a fairly simple market to understand. It's not like options where you have like multiple different factors and variables that you're um looking at, right? Like delta, for example, and other factors like that. So, but yeah, like the way I trade futures is fairly basic, I would say, right? The mix of auction theory and order flow. Auction theory realistically could be just used for anything with volume, like any market. I use it for options, stocks, all that crap. Where am I reading those charts? Well, this is the DOM order flow over here on the S&P, and then these profiles are the auctions. So 8 seconds as we're trading right into an interesting area here on NASDAQ. Wow. Okay, the first 10 minutes are gone, and like we got pretty much what we wanted to see, but like as I'm looking at this market, it is still like a barrage of weakness. Realistically, S&P has not dropped that much, which is impressive. Like there's a lot of attempted buying right now at this like '08 area, I guess. S&P is like not close to any of the regions that I care about, first of all, right? Like what I mean by that is like we're still in these like fairly new areas of auction, which for moi isn't ideal. Just trying to find my dumb. New. And I had some longs from the overnight, so like I'm not getting too eager about these trades. I'm gonna trade like a handful of micros today. But I'm watching the NASDAQ at this interesting spot, dare I say. 310 to 320. Because like if there's enough buying and there's like congestion here, yeah, okay, like ping the long and we can see. Like it bounced off at the first time, did pretty good. You get into like 345, a solid trade there. But the thing is, when you go and retest that, I want to see more congestion of the sellers getting jammed up there, which is an important factor. So I don't lose my ass on that second test. And then, like, if it goes, like, you got to start breaking above like 360, 345, 350, all of that imbalance that was created there. I'm not impressed. Oh, fuck. There it goes. Now, this could be the third test of this, which, like, very carefully approaching it. Mike, what asset are you watching? Who's VWAP? Who's WAP? MQ. Interesting. I just blindly enter into that 320. I should have at least. Yeah, a little nervous now. There's like a decent amount of sell pressure on this and S&P is still kind of high. Kyle, do you trade YM? Well done, Justin. That's how it's done here. Close your eyes and buy this shit. God, I'd like to see a little head fake and then rebid. Yeah, I'm watching that too, Evan. Like there's a decent amount of activity on this dumb on both of these assets today. I haven't done anything to them yet. I bought overnight since I'm in Europe, but I've closed that before the news. I thought the news could be a little trickier, but here we are. Yeah, Michael, 0 day activity. Like it's been juicing a lot of volume into these markets slash like volatility on options. Like I'm looking at this 320 area. I just like on three tests, I kind of find it a little harder for me to just like jump into it. My timer just went off like recently as well. So like the way that they like keep rotating this, I'd honestly expect maybe some kind of like little head fake. And then if they rebid it aggressively, that'd work well. But like you have a lot of negative delta building up into this like 310 to 320 area on the NASDAQ, which is like holding really well. Um, Let me find where that chart is. What the fuck? Okay. What the hell is this? That was an eyesore. Might just have to duplicate this S&P one and then change it because that NASDAQ one looks absolutely nuked. They're still trying to hold pretty well off that 320. If I miss that, then like fuck me. I guess that's life. Yeah, I might have to hide a few studies on that NASDAQ one, but like honestly, I'll just like just easier for me to do this actually. Look at this. Like look at the congestion of negative delta down here. Like this is nice. Like realistically, all this absorption, very, very good, very good. You break it, very bad. So yeah, it might be one of those things. Yeah, sorry. No MSA today for me. I'm an MSA denier. I might have shit the bed not buying that 320, honestly. And news in 13 minutes. Shit. What kind of news is coming out? Yeah, damn. I think I was getting a little too patient with trying to catch a good move on that with that like 320 area on the nose. I could have already been out at this point. I'm just like, I don't know, all this negative delta in here. Not even like a single head fake by like 5 points. S&P, like, I haven't even looked at this. Like, look at it. Like, you can just see it from like the price action of this chart. Like, good luck. Shit. Let me check on some of these options. That was a good play from that 320, man. Mm. Blind limit is the way. Let me see. I just check some of these options while my nothingness is happening here. Yeah, you got this like three like 6350 area that like congested a lot on NASDAQ in terms of like delta. Um, so we'll see if they like start bidding above that aggressively. I think this could be it. News comes out in about like 8 minutes or so, 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes. I don't even know what that news is. I don't have a squawk on today, so I might as well log into that. Some people might be fighting hurricanes in the USA. You in Michigan? Thanks, Mike. New lows on spoos. Barely. Big delta forming at 08s on spoos. Um, it looks to be some strength still holding out. I'm gonna be very cautious of the next test of 320. Ideal scenario, 320 gets like slightly offered, then they just like rebid back above it and pew 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 longs. S&P like still pretty far from areas I really care about, but overnight some decent delta blocks at like pretty much where we're at, like 06, 05 area. 08 is starting to create more delta here. Yeah, purple line is point of control. Not that I really use it that much, but it's like a good gauge of where I shouldn't trade.
Just put here from Israeli PM Netanyahu, just calling on UN Security Council to impose sanctions on Iran to ensure that it does not get nuclear weapons. Just put here from Israeli PM Netanyahu.
Ugh. A lot of resting orders below.
Put here from Netanyahu, it says that Israel will do everything in its power to make sure that Iran does not get nuclear weapons.
A lot of the offers keep getting rebid. Still waiting for a region. News in 4 minutes too. Usually when I get into a trade before news, my ass is grass. The resting orders are just like the limit orders, the passive orders that are sitting here. Like if they start appearing a little more aggressively towards prices, like they're pretty captivating for price to try to trade into them. Like I'm not gonna look at like this, for example, and be like, oh, we're going up to 16, or like down here, we're going down to 02. But if they start stacking up fairly close to prices, like especially on the NASDAQ down, like it looks pretty solidified to go and fill them. What I mean. They appear out of thin air. So I think we can try a little lower here and see. 320 trades again right before news. Let's see here. We couldn't get above that 360. That's not. That was like yesterday's 320 actually. When I was buying that 310, 315 area, failed at 360 again, congest the shitload of orders there. A lot of trap people into that 320. Goddamn news. I'll be a good boy. I'll be patient with that news because like might not be something cataclysmic, but it can jolt prices and like screw me nonetheless. Braver man than I am, Mike. I like head fake rebid instantaneously, like gigabit, and then we can start slapping this. But like, I don't know, the sell is looking a little tedious right now. S&P, like, if you're trading the S&P today, you are a sick person. Look at this. The only trade was like sell the open pretty much and pray. The old prayer circle rarely misses. News could go either way, right? We go trade maybe 390 off the news, or we trade 260 off the news, or neither. So
for September, the headline that's expected to rise a touch higher to 69.3 from 69. I'll then run through the conditions, the expectations, and then the 1-year and 5-year inflation forecast.
is the uncertainty of whether this is going to cause any kind of cataclysmic movement is keeping me away from it. And if it goes here, then well, that's the decision I've made.
Ten seconds. Spot one, 70 spot one, so that's a larger than expected upper revision. Conditions, that's revised high to 63 spot 3 from 62 spot 9.
Nice bid trying to come in.
Revised high to 74 spot 4 from 73. Ooh. The 1-year inflation expectation, that remains at 2.7%, and the 5-year, that holds steady at 3.1%. So again, that was upper revisions there for sentiment, conditions, and expectations. Not really much in the way of follow through seen for US asset classes. But pricing, that's also little changed following the data.
They're still holding it. S&P on a nice little bid here. Well, if you can call 5 points nice. There it goes a little more on the spoos here. Pretty much back into highs. Buy side still trying to hold this NAS 320 area. I didn't launch my longs there. Now I'm just looking. I'm just watching this from the outside. Window shopping indeed. S&P trying to go on the offer. I just find it a little harder to believe that they continuously hold this 320 without making that like new move higher.
Just on there for Amazon, that's AMZ. And Wall Street Journal just noting the company will start stockpiling opioid overdose medication across its warehouse network, making it one of the largest US employers to respond to government pressure to make life-saving drugs available in the workplace.
God damn, another 30-point move here on this NAS off that 320. Honestly, outstanding. There it goes. God damn fucking news. You gotta be kidding me. S&P running the bid from some random area. Real question is, can we just like rebid this 390 on the NASDAQ here? Like that reaction is pretty stirred. Pretty big selling coming in on this. One touch bounce. Yeah, literally last chance. These guys just like rebid it instantaneously up like fucking 16 points in a second. There's some sick movement right now. Yeah, I want it to like rotate a little when it gets there. I don't want it to like just like go and then immediately bounce because regardless, I'm still gonna have to just put my limit in there and be like, I fucking trust the level. Hmm. Clustering negative deltas into these 330s now. Watching Naz here. Try to fill orders on the sell lower. So many tests of 320. Dude, I'm gonna try and buy this into these areas. Enough's enough. I feel like I'm like slow on these reactions though. Jeez.
For the sell side forecasted at ECB, this time Barclays just noticing they now expect the ECB to cut interest rates by 25 basis points in October.
It happens so freaking fast. I've sprayed a bunch of contracts down there.
But then Barclays, they expect the ECB to continue consecutive rate cuts until June 2025, targeting
It's just like I gotta like mark it in. And if they break this time, I've been the sacrificial lamb to wait 17 tests before getting long. But like they keep holding a bid and like jamming them on the short, like why not? But even like when it comes down, even prior times, and I'm like thinking of clicking, by the time I move over to the Dom, it's just like already giga bid.
Just seen here, according to a trade source cited by Reuters, North Sea and focus crude oil stream still owed 10 cargoes in November.
There's some sick movement here on this market today. Let's see if they can break above this like massive delta now. Oh yeah, now they're gonna hit that offer.
Just following the earlier comments from the Houthis, just seen here, the US official telling Reuters US Navy warships intercepted projectiles fired by Houthis and no damage.
I got taken out on that. It's just late. I'm late on it. Like I had so many chances here. I'm gonna try and ping it long again though. We'll go one more test into this 300. I understand it's under the area, but maybe this is a head fake realistically. I'm okay with the risk. Let's see here. I'll try to manually exit these. I out some. It just gets congested if we can't break above this like 330 now. Maybe that was a head fake that like I had to get head faked out of.
The metals news here, SQM is seeking lithium partner to finance its international expansion, according to reports.
Under all that negative delta, it's not the best of long ideas right now. Like if we start selling under this like 320 a little more aggressively under 330, like the expectation is continuation to the sell here. So like it's kind of a last chance, see if they can break that 330 on this NAS, which is like proving very, very difficult. You got that like huge delta cluster now. Yeah, sell side looks a bit cooked. or sorry, buy side. I waited too long. Like I had too many chances to buy that 320 like a dope. S&P just in the middle of fucking nowhere. A lot of offers are coming in on this news. Sell pressure is pretty strong here, I'm not gonna lie. Every time you get like a bid, they just like reoffer it. If this is gonna bid, it has to just like shoot above that 330 on the NAS. And it looks like that it doesn't not want to happen.
Energy watchers, the supply of the five North Sea crude grades underpinning Brent set to average 606,000 barrels a day in Nov. That would be slightly fewer than the 610 in October.
Offer strong at these large negative deltas. S&P is just like freaking doing nothing. I think looking for that short continuation makes sense. We're under this larger distribution on NASDAQ. It's pretty evident right now. Come out of the rest of these.
Eventually related news here, COP ConocoPhillips has won Trinidad.
I just waited way too long, realistically, to get that long on the NAS. I was just like a noob error.
And the move is preventative.
The news service is called News Squawk, where the guy's yapping. Honestly, looking to just try to continue this momentum lower. Like if we go test 320, 330, that's where I started. Like I gotta flip on this sell. Like I was way too what's it called? Late on that short realistically. And like obviously I paid for it. Or sorry, on that long. Like there was so many options to like get in before. S&P still kind of strong here. Nasdaq showing strengths for some reason here. Divergence.
Global autos, Chinese automaker BYD asked Mexico's government to extend decree exempting some tariffs on imports of EVs.
S&P strong. I'm just gonna try to fill some of these like nice shorts up into that like mid 320. And then if we just break above that like larger distribution above that like 40, then I'm cooked.
And fiscal news from Japan, the incoming PM Shiba says Japan will deploy fiscal stimulus if needed.
I agree offer, but that's a nasty bid that just came in here.
And Japan's incoming PM says the accommodative monetary policy trend will not change.
Let's see what they can offer under this like 300 on the NAS. S&P just continue its bull press right now. This dumb is getting jumpy as hell.
Ishiba says BOJ should decide monetary policy.
A lot of sellers trying to come into these 315s. Not really too much is getting offered too aggressively just now. I don't love about this. They got to go on that offer pretty hard.
Any request to the BOJ on monetary policy.
This is S&P on this like gargantuan bid here. Hmm. A lot of these sellers are looking trapped on these offers. They look pretty solid to begin with, but I might be on the wrong side of this expansion. They just had to head fake me lower before ripping back up. Jeez. I'm out of this. They tried. Aggressive fill on that. But like if they head fake this and start dumping right now, like that's just the day. That's the day that I'm experiencing here, and like it is what it is. And that's life. They bid up to that like 340 or whatever, and then offers are trying to come in now. I didn't mind the level. It's just we didn't get that. We didn't get the move. We didn't get that thing pan out. It looked good, like they were offering, but at one point they got a little jammed up. I guess I had to head fake me and the remainder of this market here. Which is okay. I get it. It's fine. Moral of the story, don't use stops. Moral of the story, don't use stops, people. I'm just playing. Nasdaq looks weaker than the spoos here. That's why I tried it. It's just like my level obviously wasn't that good, right? Maybe I got a little too aggressive at that 320 area on that test when like they pulled it up to like 340. Got stopped out of that, and then they open up the offer a little more here. It's just like the strength in this S&P is kind of like holding this thing out right now. I haven't touched the S&P. S&P's looked very, very non-sexy to me. Bad fill, bad trade. Less than that. Now this thing's down like 30 fucking handles. So giving back some of those longs from overnight. I'm okay with that, but that was a good trade, man. I think it was a good trade. I just think the entry was like kind of butt. My thought process, these guys offered from like 320. It looked pretty good, but like they got a little congested on those rotations, like head fake imminent, and then that's it.
So the latest Atlantic now tracker has been released as well. Checking Q3.
My fault today was just not buying that 320 kind of aggressively at the beginning, and then I bought it right when like that knife kind of happened. $260 seems possible at this point. What are you gonna do, people? It's a very good move, right? Like it's dropped like what is that, like 40 plus handles from that 320. It's just sometimes you get head fake like that. I didn't re-enter. I'm doing early exit pull here. I haven't traded the spoos other than the pre-market trade I had that I was talking about last night. Just like these spoos kind of holding up Nasdaq's bid right now, or like holding it up from like dropping. Yeah, that was a nasty top hunt of my stops and then just dumped from there. I guess like I don't know, like what was the high of that? Like 40 something? Like I should have been filling like 25 maybe. I filled a little too soon. The strength and SPOOs are not letting NASDAQ pull down. Like there's bearishness under this like 320, 330 area until we like rebid aggressively all that like negative delta that's congested. Like I don't know. I'm not like a big believer of these shorts on NAS. Like S&P is that's already done deal, right? These guys just like keep bidding. So like NASDAQ, I'd probably just wait for more of an acceptance above this like 320, 330, honestly, see if there's any longs. Yeah, that too, Justin. The reversal move into the European close.
For the Brazilian miner Vale, it says the potential IPO of its Vale-based metals not currently under assessment.
There's some pretty solid strength in, I was gonna say in some tech, but like I look at Nvidia got slapped. I guess just Google's up. Back to my enemy 320. That's the thing. I was right about the 320 on both sides, just terrible execution. So it doesn't mean anything. It don't mean much. Reoffers again, pretty stern from like 330, but like question is, they just gonna bid it right back up? Some bullish flow happening right now, it seems. Spoo's dancing around here. Yeah, POC right at 320 just to mess with me. I'm like, fuck, like, was I gonna short the area again? I don't know. Like, it's starting to get a little too muddled for me. I'm looking for an expansion higher. I think these guys like on the flow side of things are just getting like super um aggressive on like the rebids. What about the solar sector? I see a comment. I don't know. I don't think I've ever looked at the solar sector. I look at tech because it's the biggest sector realistically. So like if tech momentum is moving pretty solid on the day, then Nasdaq can probably hold out. But if these guys keep teasing me with this 320 area, bouncing back and forth, that's annoying. It's trading at the POC, but I kind of want to give it like another shot here on that sell, but might be late. I haven't even like looked at the S&P today, just grinding higher. Put some sacrificial limits into this 325 plus area, into 330. Ideally, have like a better combined stop. It's my last short before I give up too much of my overnight session here. And just as this like belligerent bid comes in. The buying isn't like letting go. It's just like I think the issue is with this fucking S&P people. Let's see. I don't really want to short the spoos.
For UCG IM Unicredit, they are set to invest significantly to retain 600 staff in their central offices as part of plans to slim down their corporate center, sources say.
See, we're back into the area where it retested last time and they held a bounce.
Branch network. They had that staff reskilling aimed at strengthening the bank's commercial and digital strategy. And the new Unicredit hirings under negotiation.
It could take some off here. 25-point move. I'm gonna start flattening some. I flattened more of this position into this like 05/300 area. Here comes 93s, 95s. I'm down to how many here? 3. Put these at like break even, I guess. It's up like 30 plus points. This is a solid move here. See if we can make it maybe a new low. Whatever, I'm out of most, doesn't really matter too much now. This inherent like bullshit little buy over here is a little annoying to me, but it's okay. What range chart do I use for NQ? This is a 12 point. That first short took me out by like a few points too. That was annoying. I'm gonna dream of that one. I was gonna give me nightmares tonight. Another test of this 293 area. At least I learned my lesson with this trade. I was selling it higher towards that 330 rather than that fucking 320. I think it's just like dependent if the S&P can break this like little rotation here under this 50 and then Nasdaq can let go. Otherwise, like I don't know why it's so tough on these spoos. Even though like we are below a lot of these distributions, like the sell side just looks very labored. This fucking monstrosity. This is the thing, like if we can't make a new low and we start moving back to this 330, 340 area, like I think that's probably low of day at that point. Like NASDAQ would want to sell 260, 250, like get like a stronger push to the downside if we're actually going to hold this bearish momentum. Like I'm not going to keep selling this 330 area. I'm just gonna remember not buying 320 when I had like 7 chances. Spoos holding these rotations continuously. Very bullish momentum on the spoos here. Both markets still within their IB. Nasdaq had faked a bit lower, like not by much. Yeah, if I'm looking at targets using AMT, I'm just using the other side of balances or like delta areas realistically. I think a big target of this downside is going to hold is like between 240 and 260 on the NAS. But as y'all can tell, there looks to be a struggle for the seller. Nasdaq has accumulated just like a long area of negative deltas into these lows that span like 30 fucking points. Like, where is that little chart that we had to duplicate? Look at this from about 320 all the way down into like 280, 290. Why don't we do this poll for today and see what's going on? I haven't touched the spoos. Spoos looked. I wanted to get long spoos at lower prices, but yeah, we'll just end the stream on YouTube here. So hope you guys enjoyed. Tough little last sell there on the or the prior sell to this one on Nasdaq. Just ticked me out a bit there on that stuff, but yeah, I think a main issue or a main mistake was not getting along that 320 earlier. So yeah, let's see if we can hold the sell down here, trying to break this 290 and continue this momentum. It would help if the S&P actually breaks that 1415, but still trying to hold some of this short out to see if we can get a larger break to the downside and continue this current momentum here on Nasdaq. So yeah, we'll do